war face. Sir, you got a war face? Ah! That's a war face. Now let me see your war face. Ah! Bullshit. You didn't convince me. Let me see your real war face. Ah! You don't scare me. Work on it. Sir, yes, sir.
Digital soldier on deck, I lay it on the line. My music is fuel for a nod, so play him all the time. If you rock with Magna and Q, you know what's on my mind. I take the best of both worlds and let them intertwine. There's a war for your mind, so now it's time to get it on. If it was up to them, we'd all be dead and gone. That's why we stand up and fight, yeah, the coalition's strong. In the face of evil, point blank, here's where I belong. I'm like Paul Revere. How? Well, let me make it clear. We sounded the alarms and said the enemy is here. We both woke up, patriots, when danger was near. Switched the horror revere to S. You got some fears, speaking truth to power. Put me face to face with Satan. I bring dark to light and show no intimidation. Original, red pill music, no imitation. You wanna join this army? Well, here's your invitation.
There is not a big spike in crime. That is not true. There is also not a big spike in violent crime. Neither one of these things is true. We don't have a crisis of lawlessness. We don't have a crisis of crime. We don't have a crisis of violence. And that is a category that includes gun violence. If you look at the national trends, there is not a big spike in crime.
There is not a big spike in crime.
Where there was no holiday for gun violence this weekend in Philadelphia. Police are investigating more than 20 shootings that took place since Friday throughout the city.
We don't have a crisis of lawlessness.
In all, 33 people were shot. 10 of the victims died, including a young man who was gunned down this afternoon in Olney.
Yeah, Rick, it was a busy weekend for first responders, for these police officers responding to all of these shooting scenes all across the city.
We don't have a crisis of violence.
Now, we know that this violence not only impacts the victims, their families, but the people who live here who have constantly watched this crime worsen.
The crime and the violence is getting worse everywhere. Philly, though, seems, to be a little over the top.
Scared to come out my home. We all are. When I come out, I have to look around. I'm noticing, like, if you hear loud noise, you start getting scared. Who wants to live like that?
There is not a big spike in crime. That is not true.
Lie after lie after lie after lie.
And that's when I knew these people are a bunch of frauds.
If he gets in, you will have a depression, the likes of which you've never seen. Your 401ks will go to hell, and it'll be a very, very sad day for this country.
Countries. He says, I want ordinary Western people to hear me too. You are being persistently told that your current difficulties are the result of Russia's hostile actions. You have to pay for the efforts to counter the alleged Russian threat from your own pockets. All of that is a lie. The truth is that the problems faced by millions of people in the West are the result of many years of actions by the ruling elite and of your respective countries. Their mistakes, short-sighted policies, and ambitions. This elite is not thinking about how to improve the lives of their citizens in Western countries. They are obsessed with their own self-serving interests and super profits. This can be seen in the data provided by international organizations, which clearly show the social problems, even in leading Western countries, have been exacerbated in recent years. That inequality and the gap between rich and poor is widening, and racial and ethnic conflicts are making themselves felt. The myth of Western welfare society, the so-called golden billion, is crumbling. To reiterate, the whole planet is now paying for the West's ambition and the West's attempt to maintain its elusive dominance. I like that phrase, elusive dominance, by any means necessary, he concludes. He's right. The real thing to understand is that, like every war throughout all of history, this is not a conflict between the people of America and the people of Russia. This is a war being waged by those in power in America against the American people, while simultaneously using the American people as their pawns to wage war against their international compatriots on the other side, to create trillions of dollars in profit, enslave the entire planet, and to act like this is all just happening by accident. Please don't fall for it. It's on purpose, and we can counteract it.
How you doing?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Waiting on my Uber.
Waiting for your Uber?
Yeah.
You have an ID I can take a look at, man?
No, you don't. I don't. I'm not doing anything wrong.
Well, you're sitting in front of a closed bar, and I can see you're
intoxicated. I'm waiting on my
intoxicated.
Uber, my friend.
Let me see your ID.
No.
Okay. We can do this one of two ways, sir.
We can do this many ways.
I'm being respectful to you.
I'm sitting here waiting on my Uber. I am doing nothing
Show me on your
wrong.
phone that your Uber's coming.
You know what? I want to break out my camera right now.
Go ahead, mine's running
I want
as
to
well.
start filming you.
Mine's running as well.
I am not doing anything wrong.
Okay, well.
I'm doing everything right. Not drinking and driving. And why are you messing with me?
I'm not messing with you, sir. You're sitting in front of a closed bar. You're sitting in front of a closed bar.
You are messing with a Navy veteran that is waiting on an Uber.
Sir, I'm going to ask you one more time.
That is doing nothing wrong.
Can I see your ID?
No, you can't.
You're drunk in public.
No, I'm not drunk in public.
Give me your ID. I'm giving you a lawful order.
You're not getting anything, dude.
Okay. Stand up.
I am not doing anything wrong.
Stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up.
What are you doing? I'm sitting here doing nothing.
Put your other hand behind your back. Set your phone down, sir, and put your hand behind your back.
I'm sitting here doing nothing. Waiting on an Uber.
Two pictures, six protective custody.
Huh?
Okay, all I asked for was to see your Uber.
I'm doing
and you want to
nothing.
argue, and you're intoxicated. I don't think you're making good choices, sir.
I'm waiting on my Ubers, which is the best choice.
Sir, all I was trying to do was verify.
The worst choice would be driving. I mean, I'm just sitting there, waiting on my Uber. My Uber is
there anybody sober that can come get you?
You're not listening.
You're not, sir.
I called an Uber.
Well, you can't
The Uber was 2 minutes away.
You can't. You
shook me down.
James, we've been here for 10 minutes and they're not here. You can't call Uber. Okay? That's not the way.
Phone?
That's not the way Uber works. He's got your phone.
My phone.
He's got your phone right there.
Look it up. Whether I call an Uber or not.
You can't call them on the phone.
Did you do it through an app or did you
I
call
did
them?
through the Uber app.
All right. So, how do I get into your phone?
6969.
If they're coming, man, I'll release you to them. But if not,
6969.
but if they're not, you're not
And
leaving
then
us much
look out
choice.
for Uber.
Psst. Hey, you, come here. Do you remember that time we had that theory about a deep state? And it was an organization that ran the government behind the scenes. We were all told we were crazy. Well, listen to this.
They made it quite clear. They want to eliminate what they call the deep state. The deep state is a cadre of professionals dedicated to honoring the Constitution, the laws of this country, and carrying out the policies of the Congress and the President.
Don't you just love when they say the quiet parts out loud? Now listen to what else he has to say.
And a majority of the Congress of the United States, both parties, thought that it was in the interest of citizens to have a professional cadre of employees not subject to political pressure or whim or edict, but subject to following the law and carrying out the policies of this country.
So a majority of the Congress decided that they would take the powers that the people elected and hand them off to a cadre of professionals to secure our freedoms. I don't remember that being a part of the Constitution. I don't remember that being a part of the foundation of this country. But here you have it, right from the horse's mouth.
We must guard against a future president taking that dangerous step of making them employees at will.
So he continued on to tell us what we have to guard against. So we have to guard against the course of action that they chose to put in place without the American people's knowledge to protect ourselves. This is the kind of people we're dealing with here. Keep that in mind when you go to the polls.
Frankly, we've had a very stark example of a president whose will was inconsistent with American principles.
Now that's something I can get behind. Get out and vote. Make a difference.
Have you heard of this rock found only in Russia called Shungite that the Russian military is using against EMF radiation? And they're also saying it's worth more than gold? The moment I heard about this stuff, bought some. I've got it all over me. Shungite comes from a deposit near Shunga village in Karelia, Russia, from where it gets its name Shungite. It can be low in carbon, 5% to 25%. I've seen places claim that it can be up to 99% carbon. And if you weren't aware, carbon is actually used in a lot of filters for water. So Shungite can be used as a natural filter to purify your water. There are also claims it may help shield you from electromagnetic field exposure. And you're not gonna believe this. They started introducing Shungite to honeybees, like at the entrance of their hives and stuff, and they were able to find their hives way better. And every time they would land in ground to the Shungite, and it's supposed to help them through with all the 5G and 4G radiation, it's messing up their communications of finding their hives again. So if you put Shungite at their hives, apparently it's having amazing benefits. There's a guy literally that cured colony collapse disorder, and I'm having him on my podcast this weekend to talk all about Shungite. And he has a crystal store where he sells real Shungite that you guys can get, because obviously a lot of people are faking this good stuff. I'm starting to think that there's a lot more to the metaphysics in these crystals and gemstones laying around. Obviously, the government doesn't want us to know about that. But if you want to hear more about Shungite, you're gonna have to wait around till this weekend or next week. I'll have it uploaded, the episode again, with Derek Condit, the guy that saved colony collapse disorder with Shungite. I posted a link to Derek's website where you can get real Shungite. If you want to hear more about Shungite, though, and other crystals and things, you're going to have to wait around till this weekend. Again, I'm having the guy that helps solve colony collapse disorder with honeybees and knows all about crystals on my podcast. And until then, you can listen to episode 4. It's 2.5 hours long about the insanity that we've been living in the last 2 years. And we had a lot to say. That's why it went long. So go check that out. Linktree in my bio. Top button.
Then my hydrogen cell is down inside there. Now watch this. All this is water. No. Watch this.
You got the key on?
Yep.
And what does the key do?
That's hydrogen. The small bubbles are hydrogen, the big bubbles are oxygen. You take and put this in a balloon. I did it on one balloon. It sounded like 3 M80s going off all at once when I set a match to it. That's how explosive this stuff is.
So it's kind of dangerous if people smoke right here.
No, this is on demand. When I shut this back off, it goes back to water. Yeah, mathematically speaking, 1 ounce of water you can drive 25 miles. So a gallon, which that is, I should go 1,600 miles. So I designed these. I've got 4 or 5 of these made up. But anyway, there's a cell down there, but you can't see it right now. I've got plates, stainless steel plates in there that are specifically spaced apart that create the hydrogen. That's what water is, H2O. Yeah. It's 2 types of hydrogen and oxygen.
So how long?
When you apply electrolysis to it, you break the water down and you get the gases.
So how long do you think it'll be before you can put this in somebody's car and put all these gas stations out of business?
I'm hoping next week. You'll be able to do this whole thing for probably around $300. So you'll get that back in a month.
Yeah.
Spend up buying gas.
Yeah.
See, I've got what they call a pulse width modulator. That's this right here. And what that does, it controls the voltage and it controls the frequency to the units. It causes the vibrations. And it's a pulse width, so it pulses it. And I can control all of that.
So basically, it's kind of dangerous, this thing right now.
No. So this is hydrogen on demand. It's not stored. Stored hydrogen is what's dangerous. That's the hydrogen bomb. There's stored hydrogen in a container. That's what they use for a bomb.
Well, what's the difference between stored and that?
It's being used to the engine. It doesn't stay at this speed. Gasoline, you take a gallon of gas, 25% of the gas is burned through the engine, the other 75% goes out the exhaust and into your oil. Okay? When you hook this system up, this burns 100%, not 25%. It burns 100%.
with your stimulators off. I just want to mark what your tremor is like. Okay, you happy for that to go ahead? Right then, with your right hand, if you possibly can, touch your nose, touch my finger. Okay, and the real test. Do you think you could pick that up for me? Right, okay. Should we switch it on? Okay. All right.
That's it.
Does that feel better?
That feels good.
Should we try and do these assessments again? With this hand only, and with your right index finger, touch your nose, touch my finger.
That's good.
Okay, you're right.
It's amazing.
Good. You right? Yeah. Can you try picking that cup up for me with your right hand? Well done.
It's incredible.
That is amazing. That is an amazing change. For him to even just drink is great.
That deserves a round of applause.
No offense.
Has been weaponized and is on trial here. The judge has found me guilty despite the fact they turned over all the discovery. They didn't have a case, they had to default me. She's now ordered me to not say I'm innocent and ordered me to say that I have not profited from Sandy Hook. That's ordering me to perjure myself. I will not perjure myself under the orders of a judge. This has never before been done in U.S. history. It's a struggle session right out of communist China or South Africa. This is serious tyranny. Regardless of what you think about me or how the media has twisted what I said over the years, I've apologized for past things I said that hurt people's feelings. But I wasn't the first person to question Sandy Hook, and I apologized years ago. They have misrepresented what I've said and done. There's a whole industry of lawyers around these families that have sued Remington and won $73 million and won all these other lawsuits, and they simply now are not just coming for the Second Amendment, but the First Amendment. This is a travesty of justice, and this judge is a tyrant. This judge is ordering me to say that I'm guilty and to say that I'm a liar. None of that's true. I was not wrong about Sandy Hook on purpose. I questioned it, just like Jussie Smollett, just like WMDs in Iraq, just like Gulf of Tonkin. There have been a lot of staged events in history, like WMDs in Iraq, and I question every major event that we see. And so I'm being put in an impossible position inside of this courthouse where I'm being ordered to say I'm guilty. Has anybody ever heard of someone being ordered to say they're guilty? Even in a criminal trial where they found somebody with dead bodies. If the guilty person wants to get up and say they're innocent, they're allowed to, okay? But I'm being told I must say I'm guilty because they've already defaulted me and say I'm guilty. This is the murder of American justice. This is extremely dangerous, and this is the judicial system on trial. They are using these families for this. They've misrepresented what I've said and done, and they have continued to use my name to fundraise for their gun control organizations. Now they're openly launching an
I don't see myself dating a white guy, nothing against his race, but it's more about like my bloodline and keeping it pure and black, and maybe if I want to.
There you go. Did you see that? One more time, I'm going to bring something up.
About like my bloodline and keeping it pure and black. And
imagine if a white guy said word for word what she just said. Imagine a white guy just had this question asked, why don't you date a black woman? And a white guy goes, well, it's kind of about keeping the bloodline pure and keeping it white. I'm proud of being white. I want my bloodline to be white, and that's why I wouldn't date a dark woman. I care about my bloodline. I'm proudly white. She's saying the same thing, and everyone's like, yeah, good point. Oh, yeah, I get it. White people do not have freedom of speech.